The National Military Cemetery of the Canadian Forces opened in 2001 and is located within the beautifully landscaped grounds of Ottawa's historic Beechwood Cemetery. It is a national place of honor, dedicated to the men and women who have served with distinction in Canada's armed forces in war and in peace. The National Military Cemetery is available to all serving and honorably released members of the Canadian Armed Forces, Regular and Primary Reserve, and Canada's Merchant Navy, regardless of rank or length of service. Owing to the nature of their service, many Canadian Forces members do not have a place to call home, which is why it makes sense to have a central place for them to be buried in, with their military family.
My name is Maurice Berry. I'm career military. I served over 40 years in the military, and I finished as the Chief of Defence of Canada. Great many times we had our soldiers who were killed in my unit, in operation, and in Canada through accident, training accident, or traffic accident. And the only thing we could do was to go and see the family and the mother and say, where do you want your son to be buried? We had no alternative whatsoever. So many times I told myself, if I'm ever in a position of authority, we're going to change that. We will have alternative and option for the family who lose one of their members, and we will put together a plan and a program to have a military cemetery. And it did happen that I was in position of authority, and we did so. For us, the military, a cemetery should be on a high ground somewhere where you could look in the valley and be on top of the world. Because in combat, you always want to have access to the higher ground. This is the tactical advantage that you have. We could see the Parliament. There was no tree, no leaf in the trees. Right on top, and there were people buried all around, all class of Canadians. And we decided on the spot, this is where we're gonna come in. And we said, no, the rest is administration, the rest is history.
The visually stunning sacred space and Hall of Colors serve as a welcoming multi-faith location for the conduct of small or large funerals. The Hall of Colors is an area for the exclusive use of military members and veterans. Through the Hall's beautiful memorial stained glass window, donated by the Canadian Military Chaplains Association, sunlight shines in on the plinth and the laid-up colors of Canada's military regiments. Following tradition, these flags will remain honorably suspended and untouched until, with the passing of time, they completely disintegrate. The impressive main central monument, which pays tribute to the men and women of the Canadian Forces, stands as a focal point to the entrance of Canada's National Military Cemetery. Beechwood operates on a not-for-profit basis, so that you can take comfort knowing that all funds are used for the maintenance, preservation, and enhancement of this national historic site. In front of every monument in the National Military Cemetery is a perennial planting that blooms throughout the year, which is maintained by Beechwood's horticultural staff. At Beechwood, funeral and cemetery arrangements can be completed ahead of time or at the time of someone's passing. Many of our military families choose to be proactive and make their arrangements either while they are still serving or after they have retired.
My name is David Hogberg. I'm a retired colonel, 35 years in the medical branch. For me, I have a strong connection to my military background, and it just made sense to me, and so I chose to be there. I wish I would have acted when I had the first opportunity to. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't so much a cost factor. I just wasn't paying a lot of attention to the need to, think about, my passing, eventual passing or whatever. So had I done it then, it would have been a lot cheaper. And I just think that if people realize that, and if they truly want to be buried in this beautiful space, then they would, make arrangements with Beechwood to do their pre-arrangements. Well, it was very straightforward. An application goes into the military, and just to confirm that in fact you have served and that you are eligible to be in the military cemetery. And once that approval comes back, then it's just a simple matter of sitting down and deciding what you want. They lay it out very clearly for you. Obviously there's a monument, there's a grave, the issue of what urn. Everything that you need to know is explained. All the associated costs, everything.
At the request of the applicant, a small honor guard, piper, and bugler may be provided by the Department of National Defense for a beautiful graveside service at no charge to the family. The Department of National Defense may also provide a chaplain for the graveside service and has many different denominations available to meet the wishes of the family. By being proactive, families are not only able to lock in today's costs, but it also provides peace of mind knowing that their loved ones will not be left making these arrangements at the time of their passing. When purchasing in advance of need, many couples take comfort in knowing their wishes will be followed, and family members will not be left with the stress of making these decisions in the future. Beechwood also offers various payment options that will accommodate a variety of financial needs. Due to the regimental nature of the National Military Cemetery, each location will only accommodate the military member as well as one member of their immediate family. However, Beechwood has created the Military Family Member Program, allowing extended family the opportunity to acquire cemetery lots in one of the neighboring sections to the National Military Cemetery at a reduced cost. The mission of the National Military Cemetery of the Canadian Forces is to provide a dignified and serene place of rest for eligible members and their families, following the traditions and regulations of the Canadian Armed Forces. www.beechwoodottawa.ca 1-866-990-9530